Hey everybody, we are going into the chapter 7, the team processes chapter of the book, kind of as we wind down the semester. I'm doing it this way today. My PowerPoint doesn't work quite right at home, and so I figured this is a good way to kind of go through, just kind of introduce you to some real quick, about 8 different topics, but then those 8 are going to kind of connect to other things as well. So this chapter, again, the org behavior class, organizational behavior. We studied at the beginning of the semester the Hawthorne studies, the recognition and realization that organizations are made up of people, and the classic economic and organization theory really isn't enough to help us really tap into the power of organizations. So individuals, groups, organizations, and the environment, those different levels make up organizational behavior. This chapter, we're going to focus on some of these interesting group and team level concepts that we also talk about in the leadership class. But just real quick, kind of give you some of these ideas. A group versus a team. Have you ever been out and seen a group of cyclists, a bunch of people riding their bikes together? Have you ever been out and seen a bunch of people maybe doing a group cleanup, maybe doing a car wash or something like that? Groups, they get together, people get together. They don't have predefined or specialized roles. So think about a softball team or a baseball team where you have all the different positions and people taking those positions, and they all know their positions and how they all relate to each other. Football has different positions. Soccer will have different positions. So when we tend to think of teams, we tend to think of those that have very specialized roles that everybody fulfills, and they're all slightly different from each other. You know, a group of people picking up trash, they all have garbage bags and they all have gloves, and they're all out working together to accomplish something bigger and maybe faster than what they could do individually. So there is power in groups, but we like to think of them as a little bit different than teams. Even an orchestra or a band, you know, with different instruments, that's more team-like because they all have their own specialized parts that they're playing. So this chapter, that's how it starts off, talks about formal groups and informal groups. Take a look at that. One of the issues, there are good things about groups, but there are also some other things that pop up that maybe aren't so good. One of those is the concept of social loafing. So social facilitation, we brought up, I think in the motivation chapter, says people perform differently in the presence of others than they do by themselves. And usually, when people are confident in a task, a lot of physical tasks, being in the presence of others can actually enhance performance. But on other tasks, when people are not as confident that it's new, maybe some of the mental tasks where having people look at you becomes a distraction, then it keeps you from doing your mental task as well. Social facilitation can be a good thing or a bad thing. Social loafing is one of those things that in the presence of other people, there's a tendency for us to back off of our optimal performance and kind of let the other people in our minds carry the share of the work. But if everybody's thinking that at the same exact time, then there could be problems. So social loafing, there are little tricks and techniques maybe on how to minimize that or to do away with that. Take a look at that in the book. Okay, number 3 topic from this chapter that I want you to focus on is team size. And so we realize that a team that's too big could be a problem, but also too small. You need to have a certain number of people to bring about kind of that critical mass. But after a certain point, it can be a problem. There are too many people. I remember having to move a piano one night at church. They asked for volunteers, and about 30 people showed up. And everybody put their hands on the piano, and when they said go, they lifted it without much thought or control. It almost crushed my legs. I had to jump out of the way. There was too many people. And so we did it again. They said, hey, we got too many people. Get out of the way. And so we cut them down, and we had a smaller group, but a better group to be able to move that thing with control. I also remember one time driving through Cloudcroft, New Mexico. We had been on vacation over in the mountains to escape the Texas heat, and we drove by right at the exact same time that it looked like they were doing like a community softball game, and it was like 50 people in the field and 50 people either batting or getting ready to bat. It looked like a big mess. In my brain, my organization brain said that's too many people in the outfield. If the ball is hit out there, who's going to catch it? You got people talking to each other and turned around and sitting down, and it was just a mess. There were too many. I remember playing softball for many years, and there were nights where we didn't have enough players at the beginning. We had to start with 8 instead of 10. We had to give up an outfielder and an infielder. We were at a disadvantage to a full team, right? So think about group size as you go through this. The next one is diversity, group diversity. So not just people, especially on mental tasks, but a diverse group of people who have diverse backgrounds and experiences and knowledge sets. Lost on the Moon is one of those classic group, team exercises to demonstrate the power of the group, in which what it is, it's a scenario that, you crashed on the moon and you have all these different items available, and you rank how important are these things to getting you saved or rescued by these others on the big ship. So you have to go through and rank order them. Everybody does it individually, using only the knowledge in their mind, and then they do it together as a group. And inevitably, every single time we do it, the groups that take it seriously and actually do the project, the group score is better than the average of the individual. The group score is better than the individual score. That's that idea of synergy. So there are differences between physical tasks and mental tasks on many different dimensions, but particularly for mental tasks, having a diverse group of people who've experienced life and different things and know different things, and they all work together, not just a group that has 2 people contribute and the rest just sit there and nod, but everybody actually talks and contributes. Cognitive conflict gets you to think about things in different ways. Those groups outperform individuals, and they outperform groups that don't have a lot of diversity, different sets of knowledge that they can draw upon to solve a problem. So take a look at the diversity. Team development is Tuckman and Jensen. Just again, one of these classic org behavior leadership ideas, org theory ideas. Form, storm, norm, and perform. So the 4 distinct stages that teams go through when they get together. Individuals put together on a common task, whether it's formal or maybe informal group, they form. So all of a sudden we're individuals, now we're a team. And so they form. Storm, we don't know what we're going to do, and who says you're the boss and I'm the boss and all of that stuff. That's the storming stage, this kind of uncertainty and this kind of jockeying for position. The norming stage, now we've agreed on what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. The unwritten rules, the informal rules of behavior within the group. And then lastly is the perform stage. So now that we do it. So form, storm, norm, and then actually doing it. Now, if it's an ad hoc or a temporary or project-based group, once the project's done, they may be done. And so adjourn is what Tuckman and Jensen added to that. So form, storm, norm, perform, and adjourn. Not all groups have to adjourn. If they have other things that they move right into, they just keep on going. An orchestra, keep using that example. An orchestra, we get done with a piece, we get done with a performance, maybe take a little break, but then we're right back for the next series. Think about a softball team. The season ends, we'll take a little break, we'll be right back. So it could be the same people doing the same thing with the same rules, and they just keep on continuing and continuing. Okay, cohesion is the next one of these topics. Cohesive forces are those things that keep like things together. Adhesion are different things. So something adheres, paint adheres to a wall, 2 different things. Cohesion are those things that keep you together. So within a team or a group, the cohesive forces keep the individuals together. You have to have some cohesion to kind of keep you glued together, or else everybody would just kind of dissipate off. And the goals, the mission, the values, you like each other, you respect each other, all those forces are part of cohesion. Now you can be too cohesive. Group think is one of those concepts. Overbounding is another one. I had an old book that talked about Ollieism, the tendency to perform illegal, maybe unethical things for the good of the group. So too much cohesion can be bad. If you don't have any cohesion, everybody's just going to fall apart and it will disband. You have to have those forces to keep you together. The ones in charge need to be aware of these things. The book also talks about self-directed and virtual work teams. Take a look at that. Self-directed. They figure out how to do it. In the leadership class, we did the normative decision model and, G2 style of leadership. Let the group decide. So self-directed, let the group decide. What piece do you want to play? What parts are you going to play? What positions do you want to play? You figure out based on who we have today, based on our competition, based on what needs to be accomplished. Let us figure out how to do it and not have some kind of decree or dictate from on high. Self-directed. Wonderful, wonderful ideas. And then virtual. I think virtual work teams have been accelerated in the last couple of years because of COVID and not being able to meet together. Yeah, I'm sure all of us have experiences with that. Team decision making is the kind of my 8th big topic here. So again, the team getting together and solving problems. There are lots of ideas and theories and concepts behind this. One of my favorites, which I do with my undergraduate classes every semester, is brainstorming. And so get people together from diverse backgrounds, groups of 5 to 7, not too small, not too big. Give them a problem that they haven't solved before with no readily apparent answer or solution, and make them think and make them come up with creative, wild, crazy ideas, build on the ideas of others, come up with a huge list of possibilities. And then after that, after brainstorming is done, then you say, okay, we're done thinking of ideas. Now let's start consolidating and combining, scratching off the ones that just won't work. But brainstorming, again, one of those wonderful things that comes about with other people and experiences and backgrounds. There's one more topic, and I'm actually writing it on my little card right here. There's one more topic, and it's Thompson's forms of interdependence. Pooled, sequential, and reciprocal. Pooled interdependence would be like a golf team. Coach with a golf team works on the individuals one at a time, working on their game. Sequential interdependence would be like a relay race. And so the coach works with individuals on their individual skills, but then also spends a lot of time in practice on the handoff. That's where that's different from pooled. There is a connection between the players. And then reciprocal interdependence is where each player is dependent upon all the other players. So like basketball. I think basketball is probably the best example. High-level basketball where the players know just kind of intuitively where their teammates are going to be. Great example. So pooled, sequential, reciprocal. Think about it, a practice for each of those different sports. What is done during the practice? One is individuals with some teamwork, and then basketball is a lot of teamwork, but also individual skills as well. So within organization, think about football, American football. What is it? Well, there's sequence, but then there's also pooled, there's also sequential. Think about baseball. Baseball is all sequence, but it's also one person up there batting at a time, and it's people on the bases to run, depending on a lot of things. So most organizations are hybrids of those, and I think you can think through your organizations that you're familiar with as well. So again, this chapter just got a lot of good stuff, just a lot, and then it spins off and relates and connects with a lot of other concepts and topics from our other areas too. But kind of as we're winding down this term, just wanted to throw this out at you instead of just writing something down for you or just giving you page numbers in a book. So hope this helps. Again, we're getting close. It's been a good term, and hope that you've enjoyed this stuff and maybe sparked a little curiosity in your minds to explore these concepts in a greater depth and different ways to be able to connect back to work and life. That's it. Thanks. Bye.